tell we're already off to the races. Um, we have our two celebrities in the room today, Dr. Ben and Dr. Donald from Kinetic Impact. You've listened to their I guess like it's a different voice from at least Ben because he doesn't have a raspy throat itch anymore.
No offense to old women.
But they are incredible inspirations, and they're doing great, amazing things for the dance community in SD right now as we speak. And today they are just gonna kind of talk about, a little bit of their philosophy and I guess like a current movement that they're trying to push out into the world right now. And we're hopefully going to be a part and make that happen as we all become better in this together. So I'll pass on the mic to you guys now. Thank you for being here.
Yeah, also thank you for that wonderful introduction. I don't know if we can live up to that one.
Yeah.
I'll let you take over as I'm going to share our screen so we have this PowerPoint for you.
Yeah.
Okay, so before we get started, a couple things I want you guys to be ready to do. So this is going to be interactive. It's going to be hands-on. We're going to provide you with mental and physical challenges. If you guys listen and try to do one of the things that we say today, it's going to change your life for the better. I guarantee it's going to change your life for the better. So before we get started, I just want to get into like what you need to do to change your life. And it's all going to come back down to habits. So as we are creating this concept called the daily feel goods, and we'll get into that, it's essentially just 1 to 5 minute movement routines that people can do to feel better in their daily life. And what we realized the more we got into this project is we're not a exercise business, we're a habit business. In order for our movement to take hold and become powerful and actually have meaning, we need to attach this onto a habit. And this is how it can apply to dancers. This is how it can apply to dancers that you're working with. And this is how it can apply to your ability to get people to buy into rehab strategies in general. So the first concept I want to talk to you guys about is something called a keystone habit. So a keystone habit, for one, all of you guys are here, you're listening, so you want to learn more information. So I want you to take a second and think about, is there one change that you've ever made in your life? Maybe it's a positive change or possibly a negative change that created this domino effect of other things that happened in your life. So what we know is like exercise and movement is one of those things that's called a keystone habit. Now, a lot of times people are like, exercise itself doesn't create a situation that's going to guarantee like a weight loss or physique change. However, when people start to adopt exercise or movement is part of their lifestyle, like they set it as a habit, it tends to lead to a whole bunch of other things. What it ends up leading to is better nutrition choices, clearer brain. They're able to think better. And when they're able to think better, they're able to lay things out and they're able to have bigger, more long-term success. And here's the thing about a keystone habit. It's the one thing that the linchpin that usually when you change this, a whole bunch of other things happen for you. I can share my keystone habit with everybody because it's kind of embarrassing. My keystone habit was never exercise. Well, it was exercise at one point, but my most recent keystone habit I changed was I needed to literally brush my teeth more because I eat all the time. Doing that helped my oral health, but at the same time, when I started attaching that habit to my eating, I made it a point to also go, all right, I want to lose about 10 pounds. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put my last meal at 8 o'clock. Directly after my last meal, I'm going to brush my teeth. That habit signifies no more eating. Since I've done that in the last 8 weeks, I've lost 12 pounds. Woo! Go, Ben. All right. So again, most important thing about this keystone habit is you make this small change. And it's not a big change. We're not saying that people need to work out for 4 or 5 hours a day. Usually a keystone habit can be something that you do for 5 minutes, but you just do it on a regular basis. So start thinking about that concept, and we're going to provide you guys with a really cool challenge related to this. And if you follow this challenge and you do it for, let's just say 6 weeks, you're going to notice a positive change in your life, and you're going to see a domino effect of things just starting to work your way. last thing I want to say about this is we've had the opportunity to work with amazing people in my career. Again, we're known for Keone and Mari. These guys are amazing dancers, but the reason they're amazing dancers is just like any other person that I've seen that is successful is they have amazing habits. So they have habits of success. So people that are successful have habits that equate to their success, not the person itself. And people that fail in things have habits related to failing. So don't want to beat this horse any longer, but I want you guys to really think about keystone habits. That's going to be the key to getting the change you're looking for. Habit challenge. So first thing we're going to talk about with the habit challenge is I want you guys to take 1 minute. We're going to be quiet. I want you to think of one thing you want to be better at. It could be reading, like you need to read more. Exercise, it could be dancing. It could be, if you're into basketball, maybe dribbling. If you haven't been drawing and you're an art person, it could be art, any hobby. It could be organizing your shoe collection. It could be any of these things. One habit that I think is really interesting is the habit of not being in pain. So there's certain athletes that seem to always be injured and always hurt, and then there's other ones that aren't. So it's like, what habit are you have that's perpetuating this pain cycle? So just think about that. You guys got 1 minute. Think about that. 1 habit to 2 habits, possibly 3 habits. If you want, write them down, or if not, burn this into your brain. Go.
So, try to see if I can make this so I can see them too.
Awesome. So
what I'm doing right now is I'm just trying to make it so you can see you guys and present at the same time. So bear with me. I'm gonna keep thinking of your activity you'd like to do.
Also, since we can't really see you guys, we can see you now really quick. Just, does anybody need any more time, or do we got your habit down on paper? Let me see a thumbs up if you got it. Let me see a thumbs down if you don't. That basically looks like all thumbs up. Don't worry, you've got an hour to zone out, not listen to me, but think about this habit, because this is the most important thing you got to focus on today. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to talk about a time of day, or even better, a more specific thing. So we want you to lock down this habit that you're going to spend a minimum of 5 minutes a day to get better at. Also, too, I want to put a maximum of no more than 30 minutes initially. Because sometimes when we get excited about something, we'll just go all out. We'll do 2 or 3 hours of it one day, get completely burned out, and not stay with it. So I want you guys to think of something that's going to take about 5 minutes. For example, I'm going to use basketball. If it's dribbling, every morning before I brush my teeth, I'm going to dribble crossovers for 5 minutes. That way, I can cross all you guys up if we meet on the basketball court.
Maybe.
But I got a better chance if I did that for 5 minutes a day.
Yes.
For the next rest of my life. I'll be crossing Donald up hard. All right. So I want you to think about that, and then how it pertains to you guys, right? So if it's dance, it could be like one specific element of dance. Like if you're constantly having ankle injuries and that's preventing you from doing this really awesome move that you want to be doing, then you need to do 5 minutes a day of ankle mobility. And that would be like your daily feel good, the one thing that you do to get better, to make yourself feel better. I also want to make sure that these are positive habits, and it's one thing 5 minutes a day that's not going to stress you out, that you're also going to be able to unplug and make you a better person. So whatever that is, really think about it. And it's allowed to change, and you're allowed to have more than one, but let's try to focus on that one habit, that linchpin habit, that keystone habit. That's the habit challenge. We're going to move on. Oh, next slide. Okay, so to make this a little bit funner, or more fun, or the funnest, we're going to give you guys.
Quick thing, Ben and Donald, I think you guys need to hit present view, because right now we can kind of see the whole outline.
Oh, that's better.
There we go. Yep.
Yeah.
Okay, so what we're going to give you guys is the first 10 people that email us their habit commitment. Basically, fill out this form we sent you. You're going to email us your habit commitment.
It should be in the chat in here.
Once we get that, the first 10 people that we get an email from, we're gonna send you guys one of our Kinetic Impact shirts. So we just need to know your size. If you know a friend or a family member or anybody that you think of that could benefit from a habit change and they want to join with you guys, that's awesome. Email us and we'll get them hooked up with us as well, and they can be part of this process.
So by email, he means just fill out the form and we'll have your stuff.
Mm-hmm. And by email, I mean, somehow we need to figure out a way for the person you're referring to contact us.
Yeah.
Cool. So
or you can send them the link to the form as well.
All right. So enough shameless pitches and email catchers. Let's get into the cool stuff. The reason that you guys are here, which I thought was to give us your emails, but I could be wrong. All right. So a little bit background. We're not going to go too hard into our story, but we want to go hard enough so you understand where we're coming from and how this happened and how we happened to become business partners, friends, and push this whole situation. So my name is Dr. Benjamin DeLuca. I started in the fitness industry when I was 19 years old. I didn't go back to school till I was in my 30s to attain my degree, my doctorate in chiropractic medicine. There was a point in my life where I just needed wins, and the furthest I could see myself ever being was a personal trainer, and getting my first personal training certification was the win that I needed that put me onto a perpetual education train to continually get better. And that happened over a long period of time for me. As I would accomplish one thing, I'd gain a small victory, and that victory would continue to surmount to more victories, and the victories got bigger and bigger and bigger. When I went back to school, the one area that I loved and was passionate about was movement. I had seen, just as a personal trainer, the positive effect that exercise could have on chronic pain. And even though like chiropractors are thought of as joint manipulators, that is a small part of our scope. And we have this huge aspect of physical medicine that we can attach to. And I was kind of lost, and I was looking for a like-minded person, a friend, someone to bond with. I was a little bit older. And that is where I met this guy, Dr. Donald Mole.
What's up, guys? For those of you who don't know me, I'm Dr. Donald. So I actually started in the health and I guess medical industry as an EMT. Right as I graduated my undergraduate with a kinesiology degree, I was going to do the whole firefighting route. And then I saw a couple of deaths on route to as I was an EMT and realized it quickly realized it wasn't for me. I have a lot of respect for those guys and gals and as first responders because it's a massively stressful job. But I realized I wanted to do something more preventative. What drove me to that is actually my father had a stroke when I was 12, and it drastically changed his life and his health and how he can have relationships with his kids and family and everything like that. And a lot of that stuff is preventable through lifestyle, right? So I wanted to have an impact on people by preventing them being on the gurney and not being the person who has to transport them on the gurney. So that's what led me to chiropractic school. And I was my second father was my strength conditioning coach in college in my undergrad program. So I was really heavily into strength conditioning and how it can positively affect the body, both performance and lifestyle. So that was my mindset going into chiropractic school. And I was kind of looking for somebody with the same mindset. And I didn't really find that from a lot of people until I started hanging out with Ben. We started studying together, realizing that we shared the same philosophy. And that's kind of what led me into starting the R2P program at our school, the Rehab to Performance program. I started asking Ben if I could get some help from him. And that's kind of what led us working together in school. And since then, we honestly haven't really looked back. We've spent far too much time together in school, and we spend far too much time together today.
Yeah.
So that brought us to starting Kinetic Impact. And now we're kind of on the next phase, next chapter to the same book, really.
Yeah. Well said. So what we're here to talk to you guys about today, and I know we've been pushing this habit concept, is a concept we've created called the daily feel goods. And the daily feel goods for us is a way that we can use motion and movement to get people feeling better. What we realize is there's an inactivity crisis. And the inactivity crisis is essentially caused by habits, like habits that we have. One thing that we see that happens with people a lot is they get in this routine where they don't move very much, or they don't move very often, more importantly. They end up with discomfort or chronic pain, which could be felt as stiffness, tightness, or that area that's just always bothering you. That cognitive brain fog or decline when you sit doing one thing for too long. And then the process down the line is systemic disease, right? So these keystone habits of not moving and habitually being sedentary can lead to the downfall of yourself and diabetes and a whole bunch of different kinds of things. So we wanted to try to put something together for people where we change the way you view exercise. Even the term exercise, it makes people grimace. They think about sweating. They think about CrossFit. And we want you to think that that's not what that is. We're just talking about motion and movement.
Or at least it's just a small part of it, right?
It's just a small part of it. So we want to get people thinking about movement as a way of just keeping your body healthy and feeling good. And not everything you do has to be super high intensity to get massive benefits from it. And we wanted to be the gateway drug. We wanted for us to potentially be, if this is what you do, this 5-minute routine is the gateway drug into adopting a more healthy lifestyle, a lifestyle that involves more physical activity, and a lifestyle that creates people that are empowered and love what they're doing. Because we identify exercise and fitness and just movement itself as part of a keystone habit. So what it is, again, the reason that there's a challenge in parentheses, I want you guys to think about your habit again for a second. And I want you to think about that time of day. And I want you to think about when you're going to do it. So one more time, just ingraining that. During this process, if it changes a little bit, that's okay. You got to make it realistic. You got to make it work. So for us, our 1 to 5 minute routine is low impact motions. We strongly suggest that people adopt this as part of their morning. So like right when your coffee is brewing in the AM, get up, we can do a 5-minute routine, get you guys feeling better. Take a break at work. So I like to maybe think of the concept of like time stamping your day. So before I go to lunch, boom, I hit my 5 minutes, feel good. And that marks my time to be able to unplug, clear my head, eat my lunch, do my thing, and then come back. Again, great way to wipe away that brain fog. And another thing, it could be how you end your day, right? So for some of us that are workaholics or our brains are always going, at a certain point, I like to pick a shut-off point. Once I put that shut-off point, I can finish my shut-off point with my daily feel-good, or for you guys, whatever thing that you're trying to get better at. You do it for 5 minutes. Once you do that 5 minutes, all work-related things are shut off, and this is how you cap like your brain activity. This feel-good means we're shutting all this stuff down. You can unwind. As you're unwinding, all your creative juices just start flowing in the back of your mind. You're going to wake up feeling awesome, refreshed, and ready to tackle the universe. So we've talked about this. We're not going to get super deep into this concept because this is in itself hours and hours of presentations. Sure. However, one book that changed my life is called The Power of Habit by Charles Duhigg. I strongly suggest you read that. It'll give you some tools you need to help yourself, but also help people you work with. Donald, do you have any recommendations?
I think that's a great book to start with. I think that's why we have that listed on the reading material. But I think Dr. Ben has touched on it like quite perfectly in terms of like finding something to not only associate like a time of day when you do something like a new routine. I'll just say the DFGs because we're talking about it, right? So finding a time of day where the DFGs fits in very easily, but also associating it with another activity you do on a daily routine. So that way you can create these triggers or cues and not just like your motivation. So there's internal and external cues, right? The internal is your motivation. The external is associating with something outside. So if you help your internal trigger with some external triggers, that will help create the habit, right? And this is a keystone of how we work with people. If you're a practitioner in here, whether that be a trainer, a doctor, whatever it may be, or if you're a student becoming one, right? We have to change people's habits, and this is helpful to help people change their habits too.
Right. So if we can identify a cue, that cue will signify the start of a routine, and then there's a reward. That reward will usually give somebody some sort of pleasure or like a dopamine release. And here's what happens with the cue routine reward. A lot of times the reward comes at the end, and we wait for that reward. As it becomes more habitual, just the start or that cue will start making you think about that reward, and the dopamine comes quicker before you actually even finish what you're doing, just thinking about it and about to start it. So that's when you know it's become a habit.
Beautiful.
So the goal of the DFG, so we decided to do is create a framework for people. We don't want it to ever get stale. We want it to be fun. So we took strength and conditioning concepts. We repackaged them as low intensity movements designed to make people feel good, but not necessarily feel sore. The exercises create movement variability. The routines create variability on how the exercises are delivered. So basically what we're saying there is we have a list of exercises. People will get familiar with these motions and exercises. And then we have a whole bunch of different routines that these exercises will come at you with. And the way that we're doing some of the routines today apply to dancers, because if you're a dancer and you're trying to work on an area of your body, like let's say you have neck pain from some of your choreography, then doing 5 minutes of thoracic spine mobility may be the thing that relieves the neck pain. And then what we could do is give you variability. I can give you one exercise and it can come at you a bunch of different ways. And we're going to show some examples of that here in a minute.
Yeah, I think that's a good segue in terms of like the DFGs for the practitioner. I use that loosely, right? Just people who help people, like not a doctorate by any means. Like it can be a trainer, it can be like anywhere in the whole spectrum of the people helping people, right? I think that's a good segue because it goes back to why we are doing this, right? For our end, it helps us become efficient, right? As practitioners, so they don't take up much time, so we can be incredibly efficient with it. But it also is going back to getting this person to associate a positive feeling with motion, right? We know movement is not the only problem with systemic disease, but we know it's a big one. And the beautiful thing about creating that habit with movement, it often carries over to what they view nutrition like and what they view their mental habits like, right? So it's a massive snowball effect that we can have positively on these people's lives. And you can use it both as like a treatment and assessment, right? So what we like to do is we like to get into the functional assessments right away, give them the exercise, see how they react. Use your knowledge of biomechanics, differential diagnosis, and coaching to plug in this as a treatment and an assessment, okay? And keep it very simple, right? That's the beauty of these formats is keep it simple and super efficient.
Yeah, I was going to change because I don't like this. The traditional KISS is keep it simple, stupid. I don't like that negative aspect. But then I came up with a concept called KISP, which sounds terrible because no one knows what KISP is, which is keep it simple practitioner.
Yeah, not as sketchy.
Yeah, but my point is, I fell into some pitfalls early on when I was trying to get people to adopt movement or exercise. Like clearly I'm passionate about it. So if you show me a little interest in it, I want to give you everything I know that day. However, that's just going to overwhelm you and probably make you feel discouraged and make you not want to come back. So make sure you know your audience and the level that they're willing to accept it. One exercise, whether you think it's good or bad, isn't as important as you just get the person in the habit of doing that.
And I think that's where the coaching comes in.
And then the exercise that's the awesome one, the one that's going to change their life, will eventually fall into place. But let's say you start off with that great exercise, the one that will change your life, but you don't have a way of anchoring that into a routine. That exercise is way less impactful or important than the mediocre exercise you found, but instilled as part of what they do. So as a coach, as you get better, don't worry about what you're doing with the program. Really focus on the habit with the person. The exercises and your choices, they're just going to come. This is why it's called practice. This is why what we do is also an art form.
Correct. And I think now we're just going to go into some examples. And the overall example is going to be how you can apply this to low back pain. And we're going to also try to keep it as simple as possible for you guys. And don't worry, there'll be some time at the end to ask very specific questions.
Yeah. So what we've seen with low back pain, there's basically 3 situations from a movement standpoint that help people. So either your body likes bending forward into flexion, your body likes going back into extension, which is the most common, or your body doesn't like flexion or extension, it needs to be neutraled out. So once you can figure out that, you can put 1 to 3 motions together, give people like 5 minutes of those motions in any different way, and they're going to get better.
Yep. It's like their painkiller.
Yep. So just simple. Does it hurt worse going forward? Does it feel better going backwards? Or do you just need to be locked? You like that slide, don't you?
I do. Yeah.
So for the assessment process, we're going to take you guys through 2 exercises. We're going to take you guys through a dynamic child's pose, which is a flexion-based exercise. And we're going to show you an extension, which is a cobra. So we're going to go flexion versus extension. Which one's better for any of you guys? Also, we may have mentioned this earlier, or if we didn't, if any of you guys are in a place that you don't feel comfortable doing the daily feel good, that's okay. Do it anyways. Or if you guys have any injuries or you just don't feel like doing it, it's just not your day. Totally cool. No big deal. Donald's just going to be judging you about it. No, just chill and just kind of watch what we're doing. Okay, so the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to give you guys a extension-based exercise. So this is for somebody that you think they're going to feel better doing a motion. And we're going to do it in a Tabata format. A Tabata format, typically from a strength and conditioning standpoint, is usually 3 exercises done for an interval of 20 seconds of work, followed by 10 seconds of rest, done 8 times. And you can do it 8 times in a circuit, meaning you go 1, 2, 3, the 3 exercises, 8, or you can do and burn out that 1 exercise. Really effective way if you're looking to try to get a quick workout in, a cardio workout in, and don't have a lot of time, but also an awesome way to group some feel goods together. We just don't go for 8 rounds. We typically go for 2 to 3 rounds. So
Real quick, Aaron, can you let us know if I'm in the frame? Because I can't see you.
Can you guys see Dr. Donald?
Yep.
Can you see him right there?
Cool. Are you guys able to see him and the presentation at the same time, or would you rather see the whole screen of them?
I think it would be, so right now, I think it'd be better if we could see them.
Yeah.
Sure.
Okay, yeah, you guys can hit stop presenting then, and then you're in a good place too.
So I'll go here.
There should be on, if you bring up the bottom sidebar again on, if you go back to the presentation. There we go.
Boom. Okay, better, guys?
Cool. So I'm going to come.
And then I'll bring your presentation back to the front there.
All right, looking good, guys.
Perfect. So I'm going to actually stay by the computer so my voice is good.
Yeah.
And I'm going to walk you guys through the exercise. So, all right, so what we're going to do is I'm going to demo this, then we're going to have all you guys do this. So this exercise would be someone that feels good going to extension. This is a modified version of a McKenzie press-up for those of you guys that are familiar with the McKenzie thought process. We're going to go through so we're going to go through.
Cobra first, doesn't matter.
Okay, we're going to go through Cobra first. So go ahead and show them what the Cobra is.
Yes.
So we use a mat. So I strongly suggest if you have any discomfort in your knees, you can roll up a t-shirt, a towel, or a yoga mat. We use these blocks. They're just really comfortable, big pads. Notice as he's going down, he's just dropping his hip. He's letting his back go into extension gently, and then he's just coming back to like a neutral position. His hands are in a comfortable position, so as he goes forward, they're not too far underneath his shoulders. He's just finding that spot that feels good, and he's dropping his back. So we're going to do this exercise, so I'll have everybody get in a position when they're ready. We're going to do it for 2 rounds. We're going to do it for 20 seconds. I'm going to tell you guys when to start, and I'm going to tell you guys when to rest. The rest is going to be 10 seconds. We're going to do 2 intervals. So give you guys a minute here. Everybody get in position. Once we see you guys are ready to go, we'll start. Perfect. Looks like you guys are all getting situated. So this one's like one I like to do almost every morning. So what we're going to do here is we're going to do 20 seconds of work followed by 10 seconds of rest. I'm going to tell you guys when to start. We're going to start in exactly 5 seconds. And Donald will do it with you guys. So if you need to take a look at him, he'll be in the screen. Ready? And go. Good. This isn't a competition. You just want to gently move through this. We're going to do this for 2 sets. Dropping the hips down, coming forward. This is a great exercise. Typically, if somebody has some sort of disc pain, posterior disc herniation, this works great. Also, too, it's just good to get that spine moving, getting it into extension. If you sit all day, we're usually in a position of flexion. 3 more seconds. Go ahead and rest. Good. So now we're going to take like a 10-second rest. You guys got 5 seconds left. And let's roll it again. Go. So 20 more seconds. This time you can get into it a little bit more if it feels good. If any of you guys are doing this and it doesn't feel good, I want you to stop. We're going to go into a flexion assessment and see how that feels for you guys. Awesome. You guys have about 5 more seconds left of this. Sweet. And rest. So this is an example. Good. And you guys can chill. This is an example of a Tabata. This took 1 minute of time. So you could even just do this one exercise if you wanted to 2 or 3 more times for a person. But 2 minutes of that would probably be enough to augment a change, get people going. And it's really simple, really easy. You give parameters, specific start and end times. It doesn't seem like it's going to be an eternity. And we move through it, and it's an exercise that has a high yield. That's an extension based one. The next thing that we're going to do is a dynamic child's pose. So this is simple. This is for somebody that feels better when they go into a flexion. And you can start
from somebody that has pain leaning back.
Yeah. So someone that has pain going into extension or leaning back, this exercise might be good. So we're going to do the same concept. We're going to do a dynamic child's pose, but we're going to do it in a Tabata again. So when you guys are ready, we're going to get into the same position. You guys are going to start, hands underneath it. And this time you're going to sit back towards your heels, dropping your butt back, stretching your low back, extending your arms out. Good. Trying to keep your back pockets facing the wall. So everybody get like 1 or 2 rounds of that. We're going to start here in a few minutes. We're going to start here in exactly 5 seconds. So in position. And let's go. We're going to knock this out. Go for it. Boom. Just dropping back. Good. And then for some people, a lot of people, flexion does not feel good. So this is not always a go-to. And rest. We're going to take that 10-second little breather. So if you're a dancer, and maybe this could be how you again, if it's an ankle issue, you could coordinate that ankle mobility exercise where they would do 4 or 5 rounds of this one thing in this format. Ready? Let's hit it again. Go. We're going 20 seconds of work. Again, you guys should be able to see Dr. Donald over here if you need a reference point. Pretty simple motion. And we're good right there. You guys can rest. Another example of an exercise, if you're just looking to feel better and there's nothing wrong with you, we're going to do 1 round of this, which is going to be a 20 seconds of a flexion cobra combination, which is really good. So I'm going to have Donald, you can stay over there. For these. And it's simply that. You're going to go from the cobra, boom, back and forth. So we're going to go dynamic child's pose into the cobra. So that's the dynamic child's pose. That's the cobra. In the 5 seconds, we're just going to run back and forth on that so you guys can just get a feel for it. Ready? And knock it out. Here we go. So as we're doing this, we're basically just introducing motion into your back. We're introducing motion into your back going forwards and backwards, the 2 ways that it bends. For some of you guys, you may have identified a motion that doesn't feel good, or you found one that feels better. That's going to be something that you could work on. It could be your daily feel-good habit that you want to get better at, and we can stop right here. Perfect. So we like to use this exercise as an assessment to see what feels better for people, and that kind of gives us an idea of where we're going to go with their program. So if they like extension-based exercises, then we're going to run and create a feel-good based off extension. If they like flexion, we're going to go through there. And we're going to show you some more examples of what that means. So again, if they like bending forward, that feels good. Or if they like bending back, that feels good. We're going to show you how we will put a 5-minute routine together with a few more exercises here in a second. So Donald, do you mind moving the slides down? Boom. So the next link that we're going to do with you guys, we're going to take a extension-based concept. So again, this is for somebody that felt good going into extension. Can you show them that? So this motion feels good for the person. So if this motion feels good for the person, we can apply 2 extension-based exercises, which would be a bird dog and a low bear iso hold. So we could do this in a routine where you're doing a oh, I'm sorry. So this is for a neutral spine. I'm sorry, you guys. So this is a neutral spine exercise. So what we're going to do here is bring in another way of doing it is we're going to have you do it for reps. And the reps concept is different than the time concept, right? So that's giving people like, let's say a bird dog, low bear. For this one, we're going to do 5 bird dogs on the right side, 5 bird dogs on the left side. Then we're going to finish with a low bear iso hold. So they'll do a total of 15 reps each side. They're going to do it in sets of 5 on the right, 5 on the left. I'm going to have Dr. Donald get into the position. We'll let you guys try this out. Bird dog is probably an exercise you guys are all familiar with. Again, the key here is creating tension. That's the motion right there. He's really straight. His body doesn't move. So he's doing alternating. What we're going to do is 3 sets. We're going to start off with 5 on the right. Then you're going to do 5 on the left. Then you're going to do that 3 times. Once you guys finish that, I want to see a thumbs up, and we're going to go into a iso hold, a low bear, and I'll walk you guys through that. So the iso hold is this one. So Donald, go into a low bear position, hands directly underneath the shoulders. You're going to come up, knees are going to come off the ground. You're going to spread your legs a little bit like you're riding a horse, and we're going to hold this for 30 seconds at the end after we finish the 3 rounds of 5 sets of bird dog. So everybody get into position. We're going to start off with the bird dog. You guys ready? Let's go for it. And go ahead and do your bird dog. So go for it, Donald. We'll do 5 on the right, 5 on the left. You're going to hit this in a nice controlled pattern. You're looking for a neutral spine. That back's not moving up or down. You're bracing your stomach. And you can make this harder for yourself by creating tension between the hand and knee that's on the ground. Imagine that you're drawing a line between those areas, and you're trying to scrunch that line together. You guys are going to self-govern, so it's going to be 5 on the right, 5 on the left, and we're going to do that for 3 total sets. So it's simple, easy, but we're giving people like a timeline, very concise points, and a length of time that they're going to be able to get this in. And again, this is for a neutral spine person. This is a person that doesn't want to go into extension or flexion that feels good. Good. So he's taking a little breather. Again, this concept isn't super difficult. Maybe this is hard for some of you guys. If this is challenging as you're doing it, I strongly suggest you take this exact feel good. Do it every morning before you brush your teeth. Good. So he just finished up his 3rd round. It looks like most of you guys are finishing up. We'll give you a second. No rush. We'll just wait on you. Just kidding. Okay, so the next thing that we're going to do is the low bear. So the low bear, we're going to do this hold for 30 seconds. He's up. Good. Knees are up. Open up your legs like you're riding a horse, bracing your trunk. So everybody come on up. Hold into this position right here. 30 seconds, and we're starting right now. Good. So if you notice, his knees are off the ground. He's bracing his abdominal area. If I were to try to move him, he's not going to go anywhere. He's got a nice neutral spine. Bring your head up a little bit. Perfect. He's locked in. He's got 20 more seconds. Halfway there. So for some of you guys, you might feel this in your legs or your upper body. That's okay. You can always shift to make it more comfortable in any one spot. We're almost done. Everybody come down. Good. So everybody's gone through a couple daily feel-good routines with us already. hopefully you guys feel a little better. Go ahead and stand up, shake it out. How you guys feel? Good. A lot of you guys are really familiar with fitness. So again, it's not designed to be a full-on workout. We're just trying to get your bodies feeling good, feeling better. If you guys got any stiffness from watching us, sitting at the computer, this should have helped knock some of that out. So we're gonna move on.
Yeah.
Before we move on, do you guys have any questions about any of the motions or exercise we did? Just unmute yourself. We're gonna take a second here to go through it, or about the routines themselves.
Sure.
Don't be shy, guys.
So for your flexion extension preferences, so would that be your assessment instead of like the standing and then going into the, like doing 10 to 30 standing and then into like Sphinx?
It's a version.
Yeah, I was gonna say, so it's probably going to be in addition to, right? So we have pretty extensive like intake forms and it's pretty extensive assessment processes where we always do range of motion. And it obviously depends on like how acute or hot or painful somebody is, right? So sometimes if I know they are walking up here in like really bad pain, I might not even have them try to go down and touch their toes, right? Because it's just going to make symptoms worse. Right, so maybe I'll offload them, and that's when like a dynamics child's pose makes more sense to evaluate flexion, because at least you take away compression, right? So it depends on the situation, but that's a part of the assessment. To answer that question directly, it's a part of the bigger whole, yeah. I guess you could say, and it's typically after I do all the orthopedic stuff and rule out all the big stuff, because I can put it directly into their treatment and because I can roll straight into it as a functional exam, right? That allows me a little bit more freedom too. And it takes some pressure off of me because it is truly an assessment as well as a treatment. And that's the conversation I can have with the person in front of me. Like, this just gives us information, whether it's painful or not. I want you to be honest with me because all information is good information. And it just tells us what you're sensitive to. So that gives me a little bit of freedom and takes some pressure off of the practitioner's shoulders, because it's truly just information, right? And if it's good information, do more. If it's painful, okay, let's try something else. It's okay.
Yeah. So with that habit challenge that we started today, I want to just see a quick show of hands. How many of you guys picked something related to exercise or a movement that you wanted to get better at? We got 1, 2, 3. Okay, so.
Well, probably more, but
probably
I can't
more.
See everybody.
So we're gonna pick a complete bias and just go off the people who raise their hands, which is these 3.
Which is
Israel, Matthew, and Dylan.
Yep.
I'm gonna have you guys unmute. We're gonna start with Israel. Go first. Tell us your exercise that you want to get better at.
Or yeah, whatever the activity is.
I'm a dancer, so I like to do that more. So for me, I need to do a 10-minute warm-up every morning before I brush my teeth.
Awesome. What about one motion within that you want to do before you brush your teeth?
Hip flexion.
Hip flexion. What hip flexion in specific? Give me one exercise.
Yeah. I do like going forward and back through a plank.
Okay, so she's gonna
get it warmed up.
Okay, so we're gonna just say that's plank saw, and then.
Okay. Yeah.
Perfect. So we'll call that a plank saw. That's your exercise. Dylan, what's yours?
So I want to drop on the Thule board at least 10 minutes a day.
Nice. So what are you gonna give me one skill that we can use that for everybody? So I want to create a feel good with her plank saw, the Thule board, and then the next one, and see if we can like wrap that into something that makes sense. And then we would have actually all together just created a dancer feel good. So can you give us something that you think you could, like one specific skill related to that we could use?
For the Thule board?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So for like adjustments?
Yeah, so it's about speed, right?
So it's about
speed. Yeah.
Yeah. So you just keep doing.
Yeah. It's like a quick.
So we're doing like
an impulse,
like a wrist pop. Just an example.
So he's just making it general for everybody, so we could put together a daily feel good. Just so
off what you guys are picking.
Yeah. So plank saw, quick impulse. Got it.
So we'll do those. So we'll actually just start with those two. So for a dancer doing those two things, right? We could take a Tabata, which would be a plank saw of 20 seconds, 10 seconds of work. We could do that for 3 rounds, and then we could do like the thrust motion on the Thule board for 3 rounds. That total length of time is going to be 3 minutes, and you're going to have worked 2 things that you want to do to get better. It's not a 10-minute routine. That's a 3-minute routine, specifically based off some of the things that you guys just told us as dancers that will help you. So practitioners. So we combine those 2 things together. And also what she's describing is an overall good motion for hip mobility and core strength. It'll pretty much help everything. So if you combine that with a Thule board motion like this, the combination of core strength and mobility through your ankles and this motion will probably help your thrusts. Would actually be a good thing to do. And that would take you, like I said, about 3 minutes if we did it like that. So I just want you guys to start thinking about that and realizing to get better, it's just a few minutes a day. And it could just be one little tiny thing you need to get better that you need to reward yourself with.
And it doesn't have to get stale, right? And that's kind of like why we tried using the strength conditioning, CrossFit-esque like Tabata or Countdown or all these different routines that they have, but they're great because they make stuff fun. So you can make your routine fun, work on the same movement, and create change within the routine, right?
Yeah, so like one thing that we found to be successful was nobody likes doing their rehab exercises, right? Like rehab exercises to most people is like when my mom told me to eat broccoli. I was like, sweet, I hate broccoli. That's how people feel about rehab exercises. Another concept is like what he was talking about, a countdown. So that would be taking a simple exercise and going 10 reps, 8 reps, 6 reps, 4 reps, 2 reps. And that could be your rehab exercise. And that's it. You take that and another exercise, you simply pair it together. Now that person has a goal, it's counting downwards, and they feel accomplished. They get this mini victory every time they do it. They're like, I rocked this countdown. I went from 10 to 2. I crushed it. It took me 5 minutes. And then that's their gateway drug, right? Like that's their gateway into motion. That's their gateway into getting better. Because you'd be surprised if you did that with like an ankle mobility exercise or a mid-back mobility exercise, just that one, you might go like, all right, that's opening up the door for me to do another motion can pop in there. But I would just focus on one thing, super simple, so we attain success.
So I know we're running a little short on time, and I wanted to stop here and kind of just like open the floor for you guys, because we can literally talk about this stuff all day and we get super excited and we lose track of time. But this time is your time, right? So you guys have the floor, and I'd love to address any question that you guys have for us, whether literally anything.
Cool. Thank you guys. And just for everyone else to know too, if you guys do have a question, like, start with your name and let them know like who you are and where you're from too. And that way they can kind of help tailor their responses a little bit more to you guys.
And also, emails get this.
Little Kinetic impact gear.
Yeah.
They're comfy.
Yeah. See you guys excited about that.
All right, go for it. I know they covered a lot of things in terms of like assessment, movement, the reason.
So actually, just really quick, we went over a whole bunch of stuff. I want to recap what the daily feel goods are actually going to be. So him and I are in the process of developing an app. We probably should have had all of you guys sign an NDA, but we're just getting all the lawyers to figure out all this stuff. We're actually going to be dropping an app really, really soon. The app is going to be something to help people with creating better habits, and it's going to be a tool that you can use where you'll automatically get daily feel goods blasted to you every single day. They're going to be randomized. There's going to be a bunch of cool features, but it's going to be an easy tool that people can do to help get better. And there's going to be ways to personalize it. So that'll be coming really, really soon. We'll keep you guys posted as of when that thing's actually going to hit the market and ready to launch. So that's what we're working on right now.
Ask us questions.
But please ask us questions.
Hi guys, I got a question.
What's your name?
Oh, sorry.
No, you're good.
Can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's Tim, right?
Oh, cool. Yeah, yes. So I'm Tim. I'm from New York. I'm a trainer / strength coach here. I was wondering I love this, all of this, by the way, the fact that this can be an assessment and like based on how they respond, you can build their program around that. I was wondering with like the flexion and extension based movements, so dynamic child's pose and cobra pose, is there anything specific to those two movements that say something like a cat cow pose wouldn't hit? Like if we're thinking of like that flexion to extension spectrum, are we thinking of like the areas of the spine that are moving through that? Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. It does. So other than the degree of flexion and extension, using the two examples that you gave, other than the degree of flexion and extension, really not a big difference, right? Because in one position, you don't have as much motion, right? So the dynamic child's pose, you get a lot more flexion, right?
Got you.
And in the dynamic cobra pose, you'll get a lot more extension. And it's a bit more focused towards the low back as opposed to like the whole spine.
Global. Got you.
Right? Does that make sense? So
Totally.
Yeah. And then also too, again, we only have so much time. The dynamic child's pose and the cobra are also both really good to assess mid-back mobility sometimes, as well as shoulder stability, and can be used to assess shoulder issues as well. Mm-hmm. So for some people, depending on how you do the dynamic child's pose, it could be a mid-back opener, depending on how like the arms are coming out, if it's affecting like the tone of the lats, or if you're feeling compression in the shoulder joint. Again, those are things to know. Sure. If I was given if somebody had back pain, but these motions are painful, I might need to rethink where we're going with it, right? So each one of these can unlock another thought process or another series of things, depending on how you're assessing it. You're assessing it for one thing, but you're finding another result. So I always want you guys to have like that thought process in mind if you're doing any kind of assessment or any kind of work.
And it goes back to the whole knowledge of biomechanics and blending the coaching with the biomechanics. And for those who are clinicians, the differential diagnosis, right? So it's blending all those thought processes into like why you're taking that motion in this scenario.
Yeah.
Right?
And then one little tiny gold nugget I'm going to give you guys is a lot of times if you see somebody that has like hamstring tightness or like maybe a sciatica, typically flexion can make them worse. And you want to roll with extension or neutral. The other thing about extension is sometimes you'll feel a little bit of mechanical stiffness when you first go into extension. Do not fail early. Run them through 15 or 20 reps. Work through it, see if it starts to get better, because what we're looking for, if they have a long track symptom, right, like a sciatica, like pain going into their leg, which sometimes might just feel like one side of their body is hamstring, is stiff, stay with that extension, see if that stiffness lightens up, and then you know it's not a hamstring, you know it's a back.
To simplify it, I use the stoplight guideline. If it gets worse, red light. If it stays the same, yellow light. If it gets better with each rep, but you have to give it a chance to get better with each rep, green light, right? So you have to give it at least 5 or 6 reps, right? Knock the rust off a little bit and then use the stoplight.
Yeah. Yeah, pain in one small area is usually way better than pain in a diffuse area.
That makes sense?
Make sense? So, any other questions?
Yes. Yeah. Thank you, guys. Basically. Yeah.
Oh, I do. I have a question. My name is Francis. I'm from Los Angeles, an athletic trainer here. And I was just actually wondering, because this seems similar to the McKenzie method a little bit, do you find there's any, or have you found that there's any use for like the lateral flexion preferences at all? Like
100%. Yeah. So like we're definitely inspired by McKenzie. If you ever, also you guys are super welcome to come in and check out our spot whenever you want. We got like a really dope library for clinicians and comic book fans, because we have like a diverse library of cool things that we have here. But I mean, we've got a ton of McKenzie books. We're heavily inspired by McKenzie. We're trying to simplify it. But lateral flexion, yeah, there's a lot of positive things that can do, or that concept of opening up tissue. We're less about like trying to argue, because if you start getting to the nitty gritty, you're going to get into these arguments on theoretically why this is working versus why this isn't working. It's more important to always circle back to what is the effect on that person, not necessarily what's the biomechanical effect on that tissue. Right. Lateral flexion can sometimes be a game changer. And what we mean by lateral flexion is, this is lateral flexion, right? Typically lateral flexion, if you got pain on this side, you open it and you don't close it down.
Typically. Most common. But yeah, that's what we did was inspired by Mackenzie, right? And typically with the lateral flexion stuff, that comes more apparent in that assessment with range of motion. Like when we do range of motion and they're like, oh, that feels good. And then, that's really painful. I'm like, okay. Then I might use that same routine style, like Tabata, but with a side glide of some sort. Does that make sense? And we're open to side glides, and all we care about is the biomechanical positioning. So it may not look like the typical Mackenzie side glide, but any way to get them comfortable in a side glide, and then use that routine style, and then see if it makes them feel better.
Yeah.
Does that help answer that?
Yeah.
Yeah. Like a 2 minute like Tabata side glide would be 4 rounds, and that's going to be like getting everybody plenty of side gliding, right? Yeah. But a very simple, easy, bite-sized amount to do it in.
Okay. Yes.
Yeah, of course.
Great question.
That was really good.
Anybody else got something? Does anybody that's less technical, maybe like a strength coach or just a dancer, have a question about emotion or movement? Or do you guys want to show us something that bothers you and we can walk you through a quick process on how it works? Nothing complex, just like I feel this. We'll show you how to assess it and get it better.
I have a question.
Yes.
Oh, sorry. Hooray. Okay. Hi, I'm in LA. I'm mainly a dancer, but I'm studying to become a practitioner.
What kind of practitioner?
I've been eyeing like personal training, but then I've kind of been going through a lot of joint pain and seeing a physical therapist, and that's kind of been piquing my interest.
Awesome.
My main question was in like working on Keone and Mari's show. What did you guys find as like kind of, I guess, a common like trend amongst the cast of like sources of pain or like common like injury risking motion? Or
so like I would say like with their style of dance, with a lot of like the head motion and then how quick some of it can be, common injuries or injuries that I get concerned with are like cervical radiculopathies, which could be like irritation of the nerve or nerve root in the cervical spine or neck. That could potentially cause symptoms down into the arms or hands, or just the neck itself, the myalgia or muscles in that area being sore or uncomfortable. From a rehab or exercise standpoint, it's like trying to get them away from just poking their necks all the time and really trying to focus that thoracic spine or mobility or extension through the mid-back. Because as you can get that extension through the mid-back, you're going to be able to move your head back and forth. Like right now, everybody just try this really quick. So we're all sitting here. Everybody can do this. The first thing I want you to do is get into a little bit rounded shoulder posture. And now I just want you to try to look up. And that totally sucks and probably is super uncomfortable. Now I want you to sit in kind of like that same posture we've just been in, like your computer posture, which is, I don't know, your mom might say it's bad, but it's better than what we just did. And now look up. Okay. Awesome. Next thing I want you guys to do is, some of you guys like Dylan, you got this champion logo on your shirt. Next thing I want you guys to do is show me your logo on your shirt. Big proud chest. Stick it out. So if this is your mid back, it's going to go like this a little bit. And now I want you to look up. And I want you to see or feel the difference between those 3 ways of looking up, and notice, did you have any less restriction as you stuck your chest out? So for me, that's an area that I would say when I'm working with dancers that gets neglected. Some of these other muscles get worked. So taking some time, either in the middle or outside of whatever you're doing, to take a break to mobilize that area, a lot of times will relieve tension in the neck. Where do you feel you have problems? The other areas like low backs get really stiff, and knees.
Actually, the T spine is kind of my inflexibility point.
Yeah.
Like shoulder impingement.
Yeah, so the shoulder impingement could be related to the fact that the thoracic spine's not moving, right? So if this is your thoracic spine, your shoulder blades sit on it. I don't know if I can show that. You go like this, your shoulder blades now are pulled back. Now the ball and socket joint has a little bit more freedom or can move better.
Yeah.
So a lot of times shoulder problems and neck problems can be related or traced back to a lack of thoracic spine mobility.
Yeah.
So like the breakdown occurs in the neck and the shoulder, but the origin of the problem is in the mid back. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And mid back spine is like, it kind of sucks to work on because it's just one of those little areas where you're like, am I doing it? Am I doing it? I think I feel it. You know, so you really got to like sit down with it. It probably took me like 2 or 3 months to be like, oh, I actually can feel the range of motion in my mid back. And now I can actually start really, really working it. To me, thoracic spine mobility was one of those things that I had to really develop a habit with because I just didn't like doing it. And it's not like sexy, right? No one's like, dang, nice T-spine mobility, right? Like, it's not like a gun show. So once I started doing that, my neck started to feel better. My shoulder problems started to feel better as well, like my personal experience with it. But I didn't like doing it, so I had to like habitually tie it into with other things that I like to do, like arms.
Yeah.
I'm just joking. I haven't done arms in a while. Any other questions? Yeah.
One last question for Hirari.
Yes.
Hi, my name is Ferrari. I'm actually from San Diego as well. I am a dancer. Also about to graduate kinesiology undergrad at San Diego State. Hoping to become an athletic trainer and do that for dancers. That's the goal. But my question would be, as like a hip hop freestyle dancer, I'm not going to stand up because I'm not wearing adequate pants, but a lot of our like movements are very like round back, and it's like a lot of stress on like thoracic spine area, as you said. So like it's a lot of rocking motions, and it's hard to like kind of build like strength and flexibility like in a way that's like comfortable for the dance like in the long run, because we spend a lot of time in that like one position, you know what I'm saying? So
I hear you. I'm going to give you one thing I want you to try to do, one habit I want you to work on that's going to be the opposite of that. So I want you to take that Tabata concept, right, of that we did. Do you know what a glute bridge is?
I think so. No.
Done? Yeah. Can you guys let me know if you can see? I'm going to show you the glute bridge. I'm not going to take you guys through the full Tabata. So this can take anywhere from 2 to 4 minutes.
You're going to have to move that. Look at the top right corner. Just get the top right corner.
You guys see him? Simple exercise, this glute bridge, right? He's coming up. So what I like to do is this exercise, I'll have him do it for 20 seconds of work. Instead of coming down and resting, he holds for the 10 seconds. He does this for anywhere from 2 to 4 minutes. Let me tell you, 4 minutes of this, your buns are on fire. Yeah. Also, at any point that you guys are doing this, if you don't feel like the glutes firing up, at least for 70% of it, you might have an imbalance, right? If your hamstrings start really, really kicking in, then that tells you need a little bit more glute work. So by simply trying to fire up the posterior chain, we can create more neural drive to the backside of your body and relieve some of the tension on the front side of the body. We can also focus on developing some hip control, and we're only doing one exercise. And this would be something that I would encourage you to try to do before you start any of your routine and see how does that feel. Also, if you're starting to get sore in the knees or something during your routine, take literally 2 to 4 minutes and do that out. And not just 20 seconds of work, 10-second hold, 20 seconds of work, 10-second hold. That would be 1 minute. Figure out what's good for your body and build on it. 4 minutes is rough the first time you do it.
Sounds good. Thanks so much.
But 2 minutes is awesome. Yes. Okay, next question.
All right. So just for the sake of time too, I think if we could just provide everyone your guys' contact info for future questions, but also, just like the Feel Good Challenge, just to remind everybody too, to get that going with you guys. I think that'd be a great way to cap off.
What do you got me for?
So I'm going to tell you guys about that Feel Good Challenge again. So some of you guys, we've actually went through Feel Goods that are probably going to make sense for you guys. The Feel Good Challenge is fill out that form that we get you, give us your email, and then we'll have it so that you can download the app. If you guys refer us anybody that you think needs to have a better habit in their life, whether it be a dancer or you want to create a habit partner, which I strongly suggest, like someone that's going to do this with you, like a glute bridge partner, like, yo, did you do your glute bridges today? Send me that booty shot. We know you did. Is awesome. But for us, we want to capture your email, know what you guys are doing, because we want to hear it, because eventually we might be able to put specific dance things into our app. So that's what the challenge is. Think about what you're going to do. Let us know when you're going to do it, what time of day, and then what habit you're going to attach it to in order to be successful. And think small, like it could just be that glute bridge motion. If you guys like what we're doing, we're currently posting random daily feel goods on our
social media. It's on our Instagram at Kinetic Impact RP. Kinetic Impact is already taken, so we had to put the RP at the end. At Kinetic Impact RP. And in terms of contacting us, that's probably a good way to contact us. And then fill out the form, so we'll have your contact information in regards to email. And then really, I just wanted to thank you guys for your guys' time, and just reiterate the importance of and the opportunity we have to create a positive change in people's lives, whether that be creating a new habit, getting somebody out of pain, hitting their new goals in terms of fitness, or hitting their new goals in terms of dance, right? If you're coaching in the dance community. So I just want to thank you guys for your time and let you guys know and encourage you guys to keep fighting the good fight. I think we're all on the front lines in terms of health and fitness. So, and I don't know what that is, but.
That doesn't work very good. Okay, so that's our card. We'll give you guys other contact info. You can email us specific questions or anything that you want, or if you want to come check out the spot, or if some of you guys may be interested in shadowing, hit us up. We're currently sometimes taking interns, sometimes not, depending on what we got going on.
Yeah.
Info, INFO, at KIRehab.com. And that's
you can find
address.
like all of our stuff on our website too. Yeah. So if you guys are interested in more like information to learn or more information to contact us, because you didn't write it down, it's just www.kirehab.com.
Yeah, and any long, intense questions you want to put attention, Dr. Donald. No, I'm just joking. We'll both look at it for you guys. Cool. Thank you guys. Hopefully you guys can fill out that Google sheet that we're sending. And again, the first 10 of you guys will get an awesome shirt. Really look forward to reaching out and connecting with you guys again in the future. Thank you guys. You guys are awesome. Great people to work with.
Thank you guys so much.
Thank you.
And, we're really blessed to have you guys within our network to kind of communicate and like spread the good knowledge. So definitely won't be the last time that you guys will see them associated with us. Is the ongoing collaboration of building this like awesome network. So yeah, keep it up, guys. And we'll see everyone else next week for our final VME.
Perfect. Thanks, guys.
See you guys. Thank you.